Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Flores presents the Payback 2017 review. It's all culminating here on the Pay-Per-View Wrestling Podcast. And here's your host, Mark Flores. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for tuning in to another great episode of the Pay-Per-View Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Mark Flores, here coming at you with the Pay-Per-View Wrestling Podcast, where I talk about WWE news, updates, storylines, reviews of pay-per-views, anything WWE news. You know your boy got it, down and packed. Today we're talking about Payback 2017, taking place in San Jose, California, April 30th, 2017. It was a packed house of 13,000 people, and I know WWE can fit a lot more people in there. It's just the big display that they put on for the last year and a half kind of cuts out the capacity to about 2,000 to 3,000. So they could fill it to capacity, but those big displays that WWE likes to have cuts it at about 2,000 to 3,000. So sold out crowd in their eyes, I guess, to a certain extent, but just doesn't work out for me. The first match we actually had starting off was Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. The match was for the United States Championship. Big props to Kevin Owens for becoming the face of America for the last couple of weeks. I think his run as U.S. champion has been great. Hilarious, by the way, because the fact that he's calling himself the new face of America despite being Canadian. The match starts, and there's a bunch of big spots in the match to begin with. Mainly, the one to highlight would be the cannonball on the outside part of the barricade that Kevin Owens gives Chris Jericho. The match overall, to me, given the size of Chris Jericho, given the size of Kevin Owens, was slow-paced, but it benefited both Y2J and Kevin Owens. Instead of taking bumps, doing crazy spots, both of them were actually able to have a classic slow pace storytelling kind of storytelling kind of match that just went from start to finish. You could tell what the motivation, what the goal was from these two to achieve. You had Chris Jericho trying to get the walls of Jericho on Kevin Owens, and then Kevin Owens gets a rope break with one finger. This is during to the mid part of the match, and Chris Jericho then gets frustrated, starts beating on Kevin Owens' hand, and that was actually one of the key elements to the later part of the match, because there's one sequence where Kevin Owens tries to get Chris Jericho set up for the pop-up powerbomb, but due to the fact that Chris Jericho was focusing on the hand earlier in the match, he's not able to pull it off. He wasn't able to successfully do it, so now this leaves Kevin Owens at a weakness because now his signature move's taken out of the equation. So now we have Chris Jericho actually able to capitalize, gets Kevin Owens in the walls of Jericho as a babyface, and he was able to make Kevin Owens tap out, making Chris Jericho a two-time U.S. champion. Feel the love, man. I like it. I like the fact that Chris Jericho's still able to go. Every time I mention Chris Jericho on this podcast, you know I got to put him over because he's still doing it. The fact that he's literally a rock star and he still is able to put on a good show for the fans at WWE. I could speak volumes about the guy, but the big props to Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens for putting on a great match that actually told a story. It benefited both of them, like I mentioned, because of the fact that these guys don't really need to go fast pace. And I know Kevin Owens can. His stamina is there, but it benefits Chris Jericho too because he's getting up there as well. Both of them are able to tell a great story, and it shows during this match. So big props to Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho for that one. The next match we actually had the United States Championship on the opening match, and then we had the Cruiserweight title on the second match. So I like the idea that WWE is trying to make up their steps from what they did at WrestleMania by putting the Cruiserweight title on the opening segment of the pre-show at some WrestleMania. Now they're making up for it. I like the fact that they have the Cruiserweight title over the U.S. title one time in the card. This next match we have with is Austin Aries versus Neville. So Austin Aries and Neville face off here at Payback for the Cruiserweight title. This match, to me, starts very well with a lot of velocity, and it starts off with Austin Aries getting a couple arm drags in, and then he's able to get his signature handstand dropkick sequence in. And this beginning part of the match, you kind of see that Austin Aries has Neville numbered offensively. And the fact is, you could see that Austin Aries and Neville have this kind of chemistry. And it actually rings true because earlier in their careers they've faced each other in separate in several other independent promotions. So the fact that you see these guys go at it and can put on a good show is because they've been able to do that for quite a long time. So we're getting to pretty much to the ending part of this match here, and Austin Aries sets up a great 2-move sequence with the Sunset Powerbomb, and he then takes it to the Last Chancery, his signature submission. And it looks like Neville's going to tap. And he grabs the ref once, and then we kind of brush that away, and we kind of think that at this point, it's Austin Aries' time for the Cruiserweight title. Then Neville grabs the ref gets upset, knows that he's not supposed to do that, calls the match, and now Austin Aries has to wait another pay-per-view to get this Cruiserweight title. Man, it is they are booking this feud they're just milking this feud for all it's worth. And you know what? I'm not mad at them because these guys are great talents. I can watch these guys wrestle for 20 minutes every single day of my life, a different match, a different situation, and you know what? I won't be upset. So, big ups for WWE with this kind of finish. It teases us for Austin Aries getting the Cruiserweight title eventually. If not, moving up to the main roster out of frustration. Who knows? All I know is that Austin Aries having that Cruiserweight title is going to be a glorious title reign. Great match between the two, by the way. I forgot to mention that if you thought their match at WrestleMania was good, this match takes a cake because you know what? It's a matter of watching these guys take the psychology of the match that they had at WrestleMania, then go back to Payback where the tables have turned. Because if you watch what they did at WrestleMania, Neville was mostly on the offensive, and when it comes to Payback, Austin Aries was just honed in. He was in the zone, and then Neville just takes it right from under him. Great match from Austin Aries and Neville. Neville wins by DQ, is able to retain one more time, so expect something to happen in the next pay-per-view, or perhaps if they need to get a 205 Live over, maybe they might have a title change at 205 Live. It's happened before. It could happen again. The next match that we had was the tag team match between Sheamus and Cesaro and the Hardy Boys. Now, when I was watching this, the beginning setup for this match, the one thing to note during this time is that Sheamus and Cesaro and Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, the Hardy Boys, both teams are babyface tag teams. Throughout the couple of weeks, they faced off in each other and were doing handshakes and just basically showing the overall respect towards one another. Now, with that being said, one of these two teams had to turn heel during the end of this match, or during the match to grab the victory. So this match was done really well. Both teams have contrasting styles, but it doesn't matter with this because both were able to show off the best parts of their offense. Sheamus and Cesaro with the brute force, Matt and Jeff Hardy with the ingenuity of using each other for offensive maneuvers. To me, this match was really good. It wasn't. It's a breath of fresh air to see two tag teams that aren't Gallows and Anderson, that aren't the Shining Stars, and that aren't Enzo and Cass. I'm just glad that there's a mix-up within this Raw tag team division. Now we have a little change of pace. It's good to see the Hardys. It's good to see another tag team in the Raw division. So at the end of this match, Jeff and Matt were able to retain because of an unseen tag that Sheamus didn't see. And while he was pinning Matt Hardy for the white noise, the ref told him, "Well, you're not pinning the legal man." And all that time, Jeff Hardy's getting ready for a Swanton Bomb. Gives it to Sheamus, covers Sheamus for the win. And then they retain the Hardy Boys retain the tag team titles. So after this match, in celebration, the Hardys are rejoicing in their titles. And then all of a sudden, you see Sheamus and Cesaro start attacking the Hardy Boys. So now we have the heel turn that we all were seeing coming a mile away. But it kind of threw us for a loop because it happened after the match. Nothing wrong with that. There's really nothing wrong with that because that's a swerve you're really looking for. If I was thinking of two teams that were going to turn heel, I would have thought the Hardys would have turned heel first, but because the heel turn plus the broken brilliance of the Hardys would have made sense to me, but seeing Sheamus and Cesaro do it at the very end isn't that bad either. I can roll with that. I actually enjoy that. I actually would prefer that anyway because Matt and Jeff Hardy barely starting out anew within the WWE. So it all makes sense. Now that you look at it, it's all starting to make sense. So now we had Bayley versus Alexa Bliss, and this is for the Raw Women's Championship. San Jose's packed for Bayley. 20 plus people, word on the street is that 20 plus people were actually there to see Bayley. San Jose was popping because she's the hometown hero. And here comes Alexa Bliss trying to take it away from her. So this is one of the first matches that I'm able to see actually benefit both Bayley and Alexa Bliss at the same time. Alexa Bliss has to make up for the fact that she's about 4'10", 4'5 feet, something around there. And Bayley has to make up for the fact that she has to work with a smaller opponent, and a lot of spots aren't going to be as impactful or as crisp as she would with, say, a Charlotte or a Sasha Banks. So she has to work with what she got at this point. So Bayley and Alexa Bliss have this knockout, drag-out match. Every time Bayley tries to initiate some offense, Alexa Bliss would pull off a dirty move to hinder the progress. And this match was definitely telling me something throughout the whole time. And it all starts with it starts off with the ending part of the match here. And when Bayley tries to charge at Alexa Bliss, there's a set point where Alexa Bliss is able to get Bayley to hit herself on the back corner turnbuckle. Everyone gets the impression that Bayley is starting to see some stars, and Bayley tries to capitalize with the roll up, but then after the roll up, Alexa Bliss was able to get Bayley up and hit her with the DDT. Alexa Bliss ends up winning that title in the hometown where Bayley resides, and now Alexa Bliss is the Raw Women's champion. So much way to get a heel over. I prefer any Alexa Bliss heel run over a Bayley run, just because Bayley needs a little bit more work on those promos. But man, that was a great match that they had, and it's good to see that, because both of these ladies know where their niche is at, as far as knowing what makes it work. With Alexa Bliss, it's just dirty heel tactics and making the most of being theatrical instead of her moveset, which is still good. You can still tell a great match and not have a great moveset to go with. And in Bayley's case, she has the moves and everything there, but she's just missing it when it comes to trying to sell the match. Other than that, you have Alexa Bliss being the only Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. She's held both titles already. She's now 3-time Women's Champ. All in the matter of, I would say, 2.5 months, 3 months. So that's pretty cool. That was pretty awesome. The match was short and sweet. There's nothing much to say off of that end, but props to Alexa Bliss for winning the match. Even as a matter of fact, one more thing, Bayley was able to get the flying elbow spot in, and Bayley was able to get the flying elbow spot in, but Alexa Bliss was actually able to kick out. So that was actually the move that won her over, and that got her over in at WrestleMania. So the next match, I'm going to briefly chime in on this Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton House of Horrors match. WWE, you should not be doing House of Horror matches if you don't know what the hell you're doing. So from what I've gotten reading all the articles about this match, is that this match was placed within a house in Missouri. And man, if they want to pass this match as being legitimate, or even put some validity into this match, never have a House of Horrors match, because the people watching the House of Horrors match on on the WWE network will benefit from it, because they're not in the arena paying 3 figures plus for good seats to watch this on the video screen. Now, the people watching it and in the arena, I could probably tell you that they were pretty unsatisfied. There's plenty of videos throughout social media letting people know that people were chanting boring during the match while the match was going on. There's a lot of negativity surrounding this. And not saying that matches like this don't work. It has worked before. But for WWE to not have a legit story going into the House of Horrors match, like we didn't know the who, what, when, where of the House of Horrors match. We just knew that it was a House of Horrors match. That doesn't work with some people, because they need to be shown a lot of things. They need the details of it. No one knew what the hell was going on with this match. It starts off with Randy Orton getting dropped off in a limo to this house, and you're already disconnected from this, because now you see that there's blue lights being reflected off of the house. There's just expert lighting within this house. It doesn't look dark or mysterious. So there's already this whole production behind this House of Horrors match. Long story short, WWE, you got a lot of work to do when it comes to doing a House of Horrors match. Make sure you have all your bases covered with that. Props for doing the best you could, but there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of factors behind this House of Horrors match that just don't really fly nowadays. So that's the only thing I could say on that. Other than that, after 5 or 10 minutes of this House of Horrors match being done within a house, Bray Wyatt then is able to go to the arena, and he then comes to the middle of the ring, and then Randy Orton actually shows up. But everyone comes to a shock, because then they realize, well, didn't Randy Orton just get squashed by a refrigerator earlier in the House of Horrors match? Yes, I didn't want to mention it before, but the finish to the inside part of the House of Horrors match was that Bray Wyatt was able to put a refrigerator on top of Randy Orton. Yep. So then they stop, and Bray Wyatt's in the middle of the ring because he comes out to the middle of the ring at Payback. And then Randy Orton shows up, and then the Singh brothers end up interrupting the match. Jinder Mahal comes out, starts beating up Randy Orton with the title that he stole from Randy Orton. So just crazy stuff. So while Randy Orton's knocked out, Bray Wyatt takes care of the pin, gets the victory over Randy Orton in this House of Horrors match. Man, it's confusing. Definitely confusing for that. A lot of work to do with WWE. You have a lot of work to do with this House of Horrors match. You need to make sure that it's less of a production and it looks more like a horror movie. Other than that, let's go to the next match. Samoa Joe versus Seth Rollins. Now this match I've been waiting to see. Both of these guys have contrasting styles, and you as a wrestling fan, you want to see how these contrasting styles are going to work. Seth Rollins likes to use a high flying style, likes to use like various suplexes, tons of moves off from the turnbuckle, like a sunset flip, the Phoenix Splash, the Red Arrow, tons of stuff. But his opponent being Samoa Joe, you're not able to do that. You won't be able to lift him up. Samoa Joe likes to. This match will only benefit Samoa Joe in terms of strength and power. So, I, like many others of you listening, wanted to see how these contrasting styles were going to work. We go into this match, and Samoa Joe's dominating the first half of this match. And a lot of details, attention to details that Seth is actually capitalizing on. He's actually focusing back on that injured knee. Good. I like that. This match, to me, was a slugfest. Big props to Seth Rollins for adjusting his moveset to accommodate Samoa Joe's. During the finish of the match goes like this. So Samoa Joe gets Seth Rollins in the coquina clutch, and Seth is actually able to modify it to actually get a roll up pin, and Seth Rollins actually sneaks away with the victory over Samoa Joe. Now, the finish to this match was great. It wasn't going to go good either way for this one, for either of these guys had they won with their signature maneuver. So Samoa Joe loses by surprise to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins takes the W, but then it still makes Samoa Joe look strong because he almost had him, and Seth Rollins barely snuck away with the victory. Seth, on the other hand, kind of shows Samoa Joe that, yeah, you may be the destroyer, Samoa Joe, but I'm still a better wrestler. So capitalizes on that kind of on that angle there. This match was booked really well, and from start to finish, it was still a knockout, drag-out kind of fight. I liked it. Props to Samoa Joe and Seth Rollins for getting that whole fight just down to points. I just like the way those two fight. Both of those guys are my favorite wrestlers for now. That match. So now with Seth Rollins and Samoa Joe, kind of their feud didn't necessarily end because of the way the finish is. If it ended with a signature move at the end, then the rivalry would have then ended. Like it would just been solidified at that point, but it didn't. And on Monday Night Raw, there was a whole different story being told there. But long story short, here with Payback 2017, Seth Rollins takes the victory over Samoa Joe with great booking. I thought the match was great in itself. So big props to WWE for that one. The next match we had here was Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns. And before I get into this match, I want to let you guys know is that this match wasn't, the finish of this match wasn't going to benefit anyone no matter how you put it. If you make Braun Strowman win over Roman Reigns' whole momentum post beating The Undertaker at WrestleMania was gonna be for nothing. If Roman Reigns beat Braun Strowman, then all of Braun Strowman's momentum would have been negated. Now you need Braun Strowman to keep having this run of being this new crazy giant, lifting fucking ambulances, taking out people, destroying Roman Reigns. So this match was a slugfest in itself as well. Both of these guys going at it with each other. Roman Reigns using all his offense and being injured from the Monday Night Raw before, all bandaged up. Roman Reigns tries to get a few Superman punches in and still can't keep Braun Strowman down. Braun Strowman just gets the upper hand in near the end of the match. Gets a power slam in. Roman Reigns kicks out. Roman gets a spear on Braun Strowman. Strowman kicks out. And Braun Strowman's able to get the upper hand again and gives another power slam to Roman Reigns. So after 2 running power slams, he finally takes Roman Reigns down. So Braun Strowman takes his victory, but it still isn't done. He still wants to capitalize on that. He still wants to capitalize on the beating he wants to give to Roman Reigns. And it's good for Roman Reigns that Braun Strowman is actually just beating him excessively. It gives him time to worry about stuff backstage with the passing of his brother. It gives him time to grieve. But then it also makes him look stronger because the fact that he's just getting beat up after this match, and knowing how people look at this match. Well, the bell rang, and Braun Strowman's still beating the shit out of Roman Reigns. This isn't cool. Kind of gives you a disconnect towards Braun Strowman for being a cool guy, because all the smarks were cheering Braun Strowman for getting rid of Roman Reigns. Yada yada yada. I thought this match was booked really well. So it gives Roman Reigns some type of it gets people to have emotion for Roman Reigns, and then it makes people really disconnected with Braun Strowman, like how they need to do. If you really want someone to be hated within WWE, just have them do something so excessive that people have nothing to do but to hate him. Roman Reigns did all he could within this match, and it still wasn't enough. But there's a couple caveats to this match. Roman Reigns was injured, and then what happened after the match is just that can go without being said. He was beaten up excessively with the steps from the outside of the ring steps. He was beaten excessively with the ring steps there, and getting beat up throughout the match, and even not throughout the match, but throughout the end of the match. He tries to go to the back. Braun Strowman tries to attack him there, but Roman Reigns evades him. Roman Reigns is spitting out blood. This match was booked really, 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 really well. Helped out Braun Strowman taking a clean victory over Roman Reigns. That's something I haven't seen in a long time, especially Roman Reigns losing in a singles match, so that's good to see there. Other than that, man, this payback in general was full of a lot of twists and turns and swerves. I liked it. The only down point that I had really for it was the House of Horrors match. And after that, even Jinder Mahal, seeing Jinder Mahal come out with that title and with his group of cronies, that still made it good for me. But just mainly, the House of Horrors match Never try to do that again, WWE. I like Payback 2017. It really did it for me. You'll be hearing me talk about it more on Two Smarks and a Mark, where I'm going to cover Payback 2017 again with another, with my glorious host, Adrian, Craze for Days. I'm going to be talking more about it with him. A couple more key points that overall summary won't be able to get across. Other than that, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Pay-Per-View Wrestling Podcast, Payback 2017. This is Mark Flores, and I'm signing out. Remember, take care of yourselves and each other.